I'm sure most of you will probably already have heard something about the Nightmaster 800 torches. I've had mine for over a year now and I really rate it quite highly. One of the reasons I like it so much is the fact you can customize it somewhat. As with mine here, I fitted a extended battery tube and a second battery to it. Another reason is the fact that you can buy different coloured LEDs like red, amber, green and so forth, as well as the white, and these don't diminish the strength or range of the beam compared to a standard torch fitted with a different coloured filter to it. Now, I've been toying with the idea for a while of using a separate IR illuminator with my Nitesite NS200 to see if it would extend the range of the unit. And while I was at the Moira game fair this year in Northern Ireland, I came across a booth that was run by CORR TACTICAL, and they were doing some really good deals on the Nightmaster 800 torches. So I got talking to the fellow who owned the booth and explained what I was looking for, and he very kindly lent me two LED IR units already fitted inside the necking units to fit to the Nightmaster 800, and asked me to try the two of them against each other. Now, the one on the left is the standard IR unit of 850 nm wavelength, and the one on the right is one of the newer, more covert 940 nm wavelength IR units. Now, this was initially designed for bore shooting, as far as I read, and therefore it is, so they call, much more covert, to get the word right. But this diminishes the power and the range of the LED, so I was interested to see if there was much of a difference between the two. Now, I initially wanted to do a side-by-side comparison test of the two IR LEDs, but to my dismay, at 2:30 in the morning in a black field, I found that the 940 nm wavelength IR unit doesn't work with the Nitesite NS200, try as I might. And after looking at the Nitesite website, their devices are designed to work with the 850 nm wavelength, so that plan fell at the wayside, unfortunately. But I was able to get plenty of footage of the 850 IR unit working with the NS200. As you can see, for the test I used 5 fox-shaped targets, all equipped with a little bit of reflective tape on their eyes, so they should shine back quite realistically. I'm also using the Nitesite NS200 digital night vision, equipped with the new lithium-ion battery, and to record the footage I'm using a Lawmate PV500, along with the Nightmaster 800 fitted with the 850 nm wavelength IR LED. Now, all these digital add-on devices usually depend on the scope as how accurate they perform, and usually MTC, Nico Starling or Hawk scopes perform quite well with them, but I thought I would give this Bushnell Tactical Elite 6-24x50 a try to see how it would go. So I fitted all this on top of a camera tripod to save me toting a rifle about. Now, it did take a tired boy a wee while to get everything lined up, as IR light is invisible, so it's difficult to know which direction you need to move it to get it to line up with the scope, but I got there in the end. That, and I found that once I focused the Nightmaster 800 into that nice square pin sharp beam, that there was a dead spot or hole in the centre of the beam, so I had to focus it out a little to get rid of it. So it could well have performed even better than it did. Now, whether it was a faulty LED or what, I don't know, but have a look at the footage and see what you think for yourself. Okay, my starting range is 100 yards. The scope is set to 6 power magnification, and I'm just using the AR illuminator supplied with the NS200. This is the NS200 assisted with the Nightmaster 800 IR. And this is the Nightmaster 800 IR on its own. The picture is a wee bit fuzzy, but it crisps up nicely once I turn the scope up to 10 power magnification. And again, this is the Nightmaster 800 IR with the NS200 turned back up to its full power. So we'll just zoom back out to 6 power magnification and turn the 800 IR out and look for my second target at 150 yards. Once I manage to get the crosshairs settled on it. Now this is the Nitesite NS200 running off its own IR illuminator. And this is the Nitesite NS200 assisted by the Nightmaster 800 IR, which does give you a lot more light. We'll switch the NS200 off, and this is the Nightmaster 800 IR on its own. Now we'll zoom into 10 powers magnification, and the picture does come a little more detailed with the shape of the fox. And if we switch the Nitesite NS200 back on again, it does give you a little more light to spot your target. So we'll zoom back out to 6 power magnification and switch off the Nightmaster 800 IR and look for a third target at 200 yards. Again, this is the Nitesite NS200 running off its own IR illuminator, and this is the Nitesite NS200 assisted by the Nightmaster 800 IR at 200 yards. We'll just switch the NS200 off, and this is the Nightmaster 800 IR on its own. We can see eyes, but that's about all. There's no real detail to it. We'll zoom in to 10 power magnification. And then switch the NS200 back on again, which again does give you a little more light, but still not much more detail at this sort of range. I'll zoom back out to 6 power magnification and switch the Nightmaster 800 IR out and look for my fourth target at 250 yards, which just disappears out of sight for some funny reason. Confused at what just happened, I switched the Nightmaster 800 IR on, and I could see that the sheep in the field had moved in front of the target, blocking it out. So I had to wait a while to see if they would move out of position. So the sheep have finally moved out of the way, and normal service is resumed. And we'll just switch the Nitesite NS200 on at 250 yards. Now this is the Nitesite NS200 assisted by the Nightmaster 800 IR. Again, all you can really see is eyes. We'll switch the Nitesite NS200 out, and we're running off the Nightmaster 800 IR on its own. I'll zoom into 10 power magnification, and again we can spot eyes, but not much detail to pick out a shot. Switching the NS200 back on again does give us a little more light. So I'll zoom back out to 6 power magnification and switch the Nightmaster 800 IR out, and we'll look at the target just on the opposite hillside at 360 yards. Again, this is the Nitesite NS200 running off its own IR illuminator, and this is the Nitesite NS200 assisted by the Nightmaster 800 IR, which does again give you a little more light, but it doesn't make it a shootable target. This is with the Nitesite NS200 switched off and the Nightmaster 800 IR running on its own. We'll zoom back into 10 power magnification. Again, we can see the eyes, but no real definition as to what the target is. Even switching the NS200 back on again doesn't really help the situation that much at this sort of range. The image you get on the Nitesite NS200's viewing screen has more detail than the recorded picture you see here, but again it does depend on the scope you're using at the time, as different scopes will perform better than others depending on the lens coatings they have. So finally, to finish, this is the Nightmaster 800 IR on its own at 360 yards, 250 yards, 200 yards, and if I can find it, 150 yards. Then finally 100 yards. So with the equipment I'm using here, I'd be confident enough to take on a fox sized target out to 150 yards, maybe a little bit more depending on weather conditions. But again, somebody with a different scope might get better results from it. Well, that's it over, and I can clear off back home and crawl back into my bed again.